Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of the course on how to become a 3D illustrator. For this episode, we'll be doing something a little bit different. We're going for a more realistic look that you can see here on the screen, and this is the actual render we are going for. It's not quite in the realism spectrum of the renders, but you can look at it as a crossover between the stylized look and more realistic rendering. And basically there are two things here that play a very important role, and that's use of a technique called hard surface modeling, and I will get to that in a minute, and the use of textures and realistic materials and so-called PBR material workflow, and I will explain that as well. So for the hard surface modeling, if you look closer, you can see the corners are a bit smooth. There are no sharp corners really here, and that follows the real-world examples where, based on the material, basically there are no 100% sharp objects, and even though they might appear to, they are really not, and basically it all depends on how close you look at some object. For example, here on this wooden toy, you can clearly see that these are like distinctive boxy shapes, but you can see they're not really that sharp, and if you look closer you will see that this effect is even stronger, where it really depends on the quality of the manufacturing process, actually how sharp and how well defined these edges are. And basically with hard surface modeling in 3D we try to follow this, so we get closer to the real world objects. And even though some objects can be really small, like on this example here, if you look really close enough, you can see that still there are no sharp edges here, and basically the material has a slight curvature on the edges. And basically if you're doing hard surface modeling, you can decide on what level of detail you're aiming for, and actually what will be the field of view for the object, if you're doing a close-up or if you're doing a larger scene, and decide whether you're going for real sharp edges or whether you're going to choose some smooth surface. So back to Blender now, and with this scene I wanted to demonstrate basically how you can use the things you have learned so far. So it's very similar in the way of how camera works here and how the scene is laid out, and it's some basically abstract isometry room. But at the same time I want to introduce these hard surface modeling and material workflows so you can make this look a little bit better. And basically the aim is to give you all the necessary tools to make whatever illustration you might like. So this one, for example, looks a little bit realistic, but you can always go for a more stylized look even with the hard surface modeling and some smooth shading. And let me show you here some examples. And these are some examples of the results you can achieve with hard surface modeling and smooth shading in combination with a more stylized look and the strong use of color. So if you look closely here, you can see there are some smooth surfaces there are some smooth edges. So the models have a more realistic look basically, but you can still stylize them and use strong colors to achieve really nice illustration effects. And these are all the things you will be able to achieve after following this episode. And as I said, you can use all these techniques to really enhance the workflows you learned so far in the previous episodes, and yeah, you can just mix and match and cross combine and use all these tools to achieve whatever result you might want. So let's have a look around the scene a little bit here, and this is the same exact thing we'll be getting out of the episode, and it's configured in Eevee, so I think it looks pretty nice. You can see all these materials here, the textures, and some reflections of the light. Okay, so this is the scene we'll be making, and let's get to it.